Hey guys, welcome to my new video today. Today we are going to solve one of the most commonly asked questions in coding interviews. The problem that we are going to solve is a palindrome. So the problem statement here is that we will receive an input string, which could be a single word or it could be a sentence, and we need to check whether this is a palindrome or not. So first let's try to understand what exactly is a palindrome. Basically, palindrome is a word or a sentence which results into a same thing when you read it in the forward or in the backward direction. Uh, in other words, if you read a word or a sentence from left to right or right to left, it results in the same thing. For example, in this particular examples that you see A, B, C, D, CBA, when you read in from left to right and right to left, it results in the same thing. So that's the problem statement. We need to check whether the given input string is palindrome or not. There are basically two approaches to solve this problem. Let me first discuss the first approach here. So in the first approach, what we'll do is that for a given input string, we will reverse the string, and once the string is reversed, we'll compare with the original string. If it is same as the original string, then we'll return as true, otherwise we'll return as false. If the given string is, let's say, a b c d, and the reversed string would be d c b a. So once you compare the original string with the reverse string, we get that it's not equal to the original string, hence we return as a false. That's one way to solve this issue. The second way to solve this problem is to have the pointer variables at the first and last character of your string. For example, let's say I have this input string A, B, C, D, E. I'll have two pointer variables or two pointers pointing at the index of the first character and the last character. Let's call those pointer or index pointers as left and right. So what we'll do here is that we'll start from the beginning. Let's say if left is pointing to the first character and right is pointing to the last character, then we'll compare the characters which are represented by L and R. If these are equal, we'll move to the next one, and basically the left will increment by 1, the right will decrement by 1, and this goes on till left is less than less than or equal to R. Basically we are just making sure that left and right pointers till left and right pointers are not crossing each other. We repeat this iteration. So let me take a successful case here. For example, A, B, C, B, A. So left pointer will point to the index 0, right pointer will point to the last index of this string. So here we see that left and right both are same, the characters at left and right. So we'll increment left by one position, left will point to B, and will decrement right by one position, right will come to B, the second last character, and we again observe that the left and right characters are again same. In the next step, left and right will point to the same character. So the condition that we have put earlier is that we'll continue this iteration only till left is less than right. Here in this case, left is equal to right, hence it will come out of this condition and return true. The same holds true for palindrome string which is having even number of characters. For example, let's say we have A, B, C, C, B, A. In this case, let's consider the third iteration where left is pointing to the second index and right is pointing to the third last index of the string. So once this comparison is over, left will come to the next position and right will come to, or right will decrement by one position and it will come to this index here. So in this case, the left, the condition, right, left is less than equal to r fails, and our logic, the control comes out of this while loop and it returns true. So these are the two approaches. Now we'll try to code this in Python. For coding purpose, I'm using Jupyter Notebook, and you can use any editors of your choice where you are comfortable with. So let's try to code this first approach where I'm reversing the string and trying to compare that with the input string, and from there we'll determine whether the given string or a sentence is a palindrome or not. So in the first approach, let me define my function. So I'm using a Python function here to get the input string. So in my palindrome check function, I'll get the input string. Let me name it as string. And in Python, you can actually reverse a function very easily using the slicing technique. But for this particular coding exercises, we'll see both how to use this without using, how to reverse a string without using the slicing method, and how to reverse a string using a loop, while loop as well. So let me first try to use this the slicing method. So let me define a new variable called reversed string, which will which will make use of the inbuilt slicing function or slicing technique that the Python provides. So I'll use this and I'll start from the last index. So the reverse string will now contain the characters of the original input string in the reversed order. Now let me compare this with the original input string. If reverse string is equal to the original string, then I'll return true, which means that this is actually a palindrome, else I return false. So this completes our function. Let me try to pass, or test this function by passing an example input. I'll call this function by passing a word. Let's say the word would be Monday. As you can see, Monday is definitely not a palindrome. Let me check the success scenario. Let's say the word is level. As you can see, with the word level, it's actually a palindrome. So this technique works anyways. But if you see, observe the code here, we actually don't need this extra variable as well. Let me eliminate this and try to use this function directly in our if condition. So if I replace my original condition like this, and let me comment out the extra variable, yeah, it works fine. Now we'll try to redefine this function with where we are reversing a string without an inbuilt technique that Python provides, right? So let's try to do that. Let me again redefine this function in a separate line. So in this approach, we will first reverse a string using a loop. So how do we actually reverse a string? We'll have a variable which will have the length. Basically, I'll define a variable I which will have the length of the given string using the length function. And since index starts with 0, I'll make sure that the value of I is actually pointing to the last index of the string. So let me use a while loop. Basically, using while loop, we are trying to append the characters in a reverse order in our new string. And let me again define reversed string as an empty string initially. So while I is less than or equal to 0, or sorry, while I is greater than equal to 0, I will what I'll do is I will append the reverse string that I have defined above with the characters which is basically starting from the backwards of the original input string. So I'll just uh, do this one by one. So I'll start with I. Let's say the word is level, so the length of this string is 5, so I value would be 4. And in while loop, I'll start with last letter, that is index 4. And once that is appended in my reverse string, I will decrement this operator I by 1 every time. In Python you can actually use this I minus equal to 1, or you can also directly use like this, I is equal to I minus 1. So once you do that, this loop will go on till I is greater than or equal to 0. Once I becomes negative, the control will come out of this loop. We will have the reverse string with characters in the backward direction or reverse direction. So once this loop is done, the condition remains the same. If reversed string is equal to our original input string, then I'll return true, else I'll return false. So the function is complete. Now let me try to test this again with the success scenario. In the success case, as you can see with the example level, this should return true. Okay, this is returning false due to, let us see what's happening. Okay, so we missed out appending the reverse string with we are base we, we basically should append the reverse string uh, in each iteration. We are just trying to assign this with the last character instead of appending it. So let me try to append this using the addition operator and run this function. Yeah, this works fine now. Now let's try with the you know failure case. Let's say A B C D E F, so it returns false. So basically in our first approach we saw we basically reverse the given input string and try to compare that with the original string that is passed as an input, and if both are same, then we'll return true, otherwise we'll return false. Now let's try to code the second approach, where we have this left and right pointer pointing to the beginning and end of the array, and with each iteration these are incremented and decremented, and till left uh, is is less than or equal to right, or the better condition would be left less than right. So let us try to code this approach as well. I'll again try to redefine the same function. So the left pointer, as you can see, points to the first element of our string, which should be 0, L equal to 0, and right pointer will point to the last element of the string, so which should be length of the input string minus 1. So the basic or the primary condition here is that while less left index is less than right index, we will check the condition if the string of left means the index of this input string at the left position is equal to string right, the character which is present at the last. If that is true, then we will increment the left by 1 and we will decrement the right index by 1. So this iteration goes on. If the character at left is equal to right, then this, I mean, at least in the first iteration it matches, so the left will go to the next position and right will decrement by one position, and again the iteration goes on. It will compare the character at left and right, then if both are equal, then the left will be incremented by 1 and right will be decremented by 1 until this condition fails where left is less than right index. So if, let's consider a scenario if the string at the left pointer is not equal to the string at right pointer, then in that case we will directly return false. Otherwise, you know if we have exhausted all the characters in this string, then obviously that if that condition happens, then it means that all the characters have been iterated and all have uh, satisfied the condition where the character at the left position is equal to the character at the right position, which means that once the control comes out of this while loop, then we'll return true. Yeah, let's try to test the same input for this function. Yeah, this results in false, which is correct. Let me try to again input a different example. Yeah, this results in true. So in today's video, we saw that to solve this palindrome problem, we basically propose two approaches. In the first approach, we'll reverse the given input string and compare that with the original string. And in the second approach, we'll have left and right pointers at the beginning and end of the character in a given input string, and we'll increment those left and right pointers. Basically we'll increment the left pointer and decrement the right pointer by 1 in each iteration and compare them whether they are equal or not. So uh, in both the cases, the time complexity is almost the same, like order of big O of n, and in the palindrome approach, since we are defining extra few variables, but it does not affect the space complexity by much. And hope so you have understood both the approaches today, and we'll see you soon in the next video with a new coding question. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.